Hey everybody, welcome to Elder Geeks Elder Speak. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2014. My name is Randy Yasenchak, editor of ElderGeek.com. With me again today, I should be pointing to the correct side of the camera this time. Steve is next to me. Steve, how's it going, bud?
I'm good. How you doing, Randy?
And not too bad. And below Steve is Phil.
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry my mic's going to be in the way tonight because last night I sounded pretty terrible. So
my mic is also in camera, and I actually like that somebody pointed out that the Triforce was in full effect. I thought that was kind of cool when they mentioned that all three of us were doing a show again.
Yes, I know. The stars aligned, and they stayed aligned because here we are, a second night in a row.
Actually, and the Triforce reference is apt because today we're going to be talking about Nintendo stuff. Nintendos. All the Nintendos.
The Nintendo.
So this year they didn't do a live show. They did a pre-recorded show.
Yeah, this is the second year they've done this now, where they opted to do it like kind of similar to their Nintendo Direct format. But unlike last year, this year you could actually watch it, which was nice. Last year the servers crashed like 1 minute before the show started, and yeah, it was a disaster. But
it was terrible.
This year was great. It worked really well. It
was a really good show.
And I feel like not only did it work well, like, you know, you could watch it this time, but I feel like the plan worked this year. Like everything all came together because of the whole day, which we'll talk about. Yeah,
and I will say, as far as like their presentation goes, I said this to Phil, and I think Steve might have been in the conversation too. I liked the way that they presented this year. I mean, they did it this way last year too, but I liked the way that they had this produced thing put forward because it cut out so much of the crap, so much of the cheesy jokes that were spoken on stage that delivered flat or delivers flat for other people. It's a much more refined experience, and really that's all E3 needs to be anymore. Put everything together and produce it and show us what you want all at one time.
And the filler stuff they did have, like the robot chicken and the like the Reggie Owata fight, like that stuff was all like legit pretty good.
Yeah. So, you know, kudos to them. I hope that other people in the future kind of take a cue from that. Sony, you know, if Sony did a prepared like thing this year, I think they would have gone over a lot better. Instead, we sat there 30 minutes talking about television. But Nintendo, I think we're all in agreement, did an awesome job today.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who watched the episode that we recorded last night right after the Sony one, where we kind of had our predictions, I think we came off as probably a little negative and maybe even a little like dismissive of what Nintendo was going to show today. But I was pleasantly surprised by everything I saw.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I wanted to say it. They crushed it, man. I think they did absolutely everything right this year. What was the first game that they showed? Because we probably could go through the games that they actually showed and talk about them individually as we.
They started out with Smash Brothers. That was
that's right.
The first thing, and they unveiled that the Mii fighters were going to be in there, and they showed the three different kind of classes for the Mii fighters and the abilities and the way you could kind of combine things, and they actually had quite a lot of options actually for the way you could. And then they also at the same time unveiled that whole amiibo thing. With the new little Skylanders basically.
Yeah, with the toys where it's like, so how many of them is this grown man going to buy?
Well, it depends on how many they make.
Yeah. And then like they also slipped in a tidbit saying like, these amiibos will work with a game you may already own. So there's gonna be like Mario Kart ones, and curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and they actually did mention about how there might actually be a Skylander kind of crossover thing. Did they hint at that, or did I misremember that?
No, I think they were just trying to say this is our Skylanders, and saying that they have all the experiences. They have the Skylanders, Disney Infinity, and now these amiibos. I think that was kind of the messaging there.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. And Smash, I'm not a big Smash player. I'm absolutely terrible at Smash, just like Reggie.
Yeah.
But I enjoy watching people play Smash. And I think that was another good thing that Nintendo did today. After they were done with their show, they did that Nintendo Treehouse thing. And they just streamed all the rest of the day showing off their games. And I really liked watching Smash up there today.
Yeah. So they had, the way it worked for anybody that didn't follow today. So they had the digital event, which was basically the press conference, but not really a press conference. Then like they took an hour off or whatever, and they did this treehouse thing all day where they had like the treehouse. If you are not familiar, these are the guys that localized Nintendo games. So they all know. I mean, they're like all Nintendo experts basically. So these guys like actually sat down and played the games for like extended periods of time. Throughout the day, and then at around like I think it was like at 6 tonight, our time, or we're all Eastern.
Yeah, East Coast time.
They had a Smash Brothers Invitational, which was like they rented out the theater that they would have used for the press conference, and instead of filling it with game journalists and people on MacBooks, they let tons of fans fill that whole thing. Everybody was dressed in cosplay, and they had like a huge Smash Brothers tournament, which served as like really a brilliant idea. It served as like a way to blow out Smash Brothers, show everybody like what the game has to offer, and then also like invite fans in, make it like a more personal type thing, and get people pumped about. Like it just worked on so many levels. I think.
Yeah. It was perfect. That was the perfect show for Nintendo. I think out of all years of watching E3s, I think that might have been Nintendo's best one I think they've done yet.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any time where they like reached out to their fan base so much.
Yep. I would have liked it if they had announced maybe 1 or 2 more games, but what they announced I was happy with. So
Yeah.
oh, go ahead, Steve. I was gonna say, what were your thoughts on Smash?
You know, I'm not a huge Smash fan either, but I gotta admit, watching all that stuff today kind of made me consider getting it. I think I'll probably end up getting the Wii U version at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll be able to do like the 3DS. They're going to do the 3DS version, which will be great, but I wonder if like I'm sitting at home playing on a 3DS, if I'd be able to play you guys on your 3DSs like through network play.
Yeah.
Because that'd be big,
in there.
Actually.
Yeah, that's in there. I mean, that's like confirmed and good to go.
Cool.
Yeah, it's weird because Smash Brothers 3DS comes out much earlier than the Wii U one. It comes out in the summer. I think it comes out in August.
Yeah, or September. I think I remember seeing September, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, still it's a good 3-4 month lead.
Right. And then I'm going to assume that Smash Brothers for you is their Thanksgiving game. You know, like their holiday game that comes out before Black Friday. So yeah, it's got like that 2-month lead, and I guess they're trying to position them differently. Like, it seems to me that like the 3DS version might have like more of like a single player content to it. Like it has like all sorts of, like it looks like it has some kind of story mode thing where you're playing through stages and all that kind of stuff. And then I guess the Wii U one will try and be more of the multiplayer focus, even though they're both multiplayer focused. I don't know. And then it works in all the toys and stuff. So I guess that's their way of separating the two.
Right.
But I just wonder if like when the 3DS one comes out, like I wonder if like people will buy that and they'll get their fill of Smash Brothers and they'll be like, well, maybe I don't need this Wii U one. I don't know.
I mean, Smash Brothers fans are huge. I don't think that any big Smash fan out there is going to have any problems with buying a Wii U version and a 3DS version for like their Smash Brothering on the go. I think that at conventions and stuff, a Smash Brothers on the 3DS is going to be gigantic. Because even when you go to cons and stuff and there are like Smash tournaments, there'll probably be people playing Smash on their 3DSs while waiting for their turn to play.
That's definitely going to be the big game at MagFest next year. Smash Brothers on 3DS. Absolutely. Totally. This past year was Pokemon, and next year it'll be Smash for sure.
Speaking of Pokemon, was that the second game that they showed? I want to try to keep it like chronologically here.
Yeah,
make sure we hit everything.
They showed Yoshi. Yeah,
Yoshi looked good. Yoshi looked adorable.
The Woolly World.
Did you guys play Epic Yarn?
I did, yeah.
I didn't.
I really liked that. I really liked Epic Yarn.
Epic Yarn was probably one of the gems of the Wii library that kind of, I don't know that it really got much attention because it kind of, I think it looks like a very childish,
it's like a total baby game. Baby game. Yeah. It's like the best baby game ever. Like you can't die in that game.
Yeah, you pretty much can't. Yeah.
Like, you just basically, Randy, since you didn't play it, the way it works is like you collect, I don't remember what you collect, gems, let's just say.
It looks like the same stuff you collect in Yoshi. Yeah.
And like, you know, you get medals. If you get a certain amount of gems, you get your bronze, silver, or gold by the end of the stage. And if you get hit, you just lose the gems. So that you literally can't die, but you can lose your gems. And
I wonder if it's going to be the same thing, because the developer had said, like, you know, Mario is like about completing the task in a limited amount of time, and we're more concerned about world exploration. I can wonder if that means the same thing, like if it's going to be about collecting those gems and not necessarily completing the level, so to speak.
Yeah, that's the way. I mean, that's how it looked to me. It looked like it's going to work. Will work like almost identical. Yeah.
Good title for them to announce, I think, and it looks great. You know, that one again, not until 2015.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, yeah, that's a bummer too. And this game has been kind of MIA for like a year and a half. They announced this one, like the January after Wii U came out, and like it, you know, fell apart like its first Christmas. They had like that direct where they're like, "We got all these games, guys. Do you remember that?" And that was like
the
one
damage
of them.
control.
Yeah, and they showed like a picture of that game, not even like it moving. And you know, like it's funny, like that game, like with the art with all the yarn and the wool and just all the cool textured backgrounds. Like compare that to like Little Big Planet 3, which is like similar idea, and it like looks butt ugly compared to this Yoshi game.
Yeah, but again, at least they showed gameplay of it and not just like pictures of it with voiceover on top of it. You know, it was real gameplay. It looked good.
Yeah, and again, back to the way that they presented everything. I mean, I did enjoy kind of having the two developers, you know, or the guys like sitting in the yarn shop, kind of talking about their thought. I liked all those little moments.
And they did that with everything. Yeah, you know, like I'm glad you brought that up, because you know, everybody everybody comes out on stage before their like demo, and they always talk about the game, but like these guys are talking about what made the game like important, like the actual game. Whereas I feel like when you get these other guys that come out, they're like, this takes place in a world, and Master Chief, you know, he's at his lowest point, and they're sitting there telling you about the story and all the, they're telling you all about this stupid shit that's going on, like with these characters. Like, no, just tell us about what makes it great that Master Chief is shooting people again. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when Nintendo, like when these guys come out, they're talking about games. Like I feel like it's like, oh man, all right, these guys understand games, whereas like everybody else, it's like they just want to tell you their dumb story. You know?
I think it's an artistic look at it. Like these guys were talking about process, whereas the other people were talking more about the game. I enjoy hearing about process.
Step into our world, Assassin's Creed. This time you're in the 20th century. It's like, shut up! Like, why do I want to play Assassin's Creed 5 versus like 4? You know what I mean? Like everybody's really got to take a lesson away from the way they presented these things.
I still hope that the big lesson that everybody takes away for E3 2015, I hope that next year they cut away that whole crap of pre-scripted multiplayer sessions. That I think has just grated my nerves to like a nub this year.
What was the one game? It was yesterday, and they were just, I kept typing it in the room when we were talking. I was like, go, 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 go. All you heard was go, 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 nonstop.
Was that the Division? Yeah. I think.
Was that the Division or Hardline?
It was one of them. Yeah, I don't know. They happened many times yesterday.
Division.
God.
I heard people yelling, "Go, go, go!"
It was the Division. It was the Division, because that one was really bad. She was like, "Oh my gosh, cover me! I'm reloading!" And I made that joke yesterday, but still, it was like, really, you've got like two guys shooting at you, and then they're really not even shooting at you. Just stand up and kill them.
Was the go, go, go in that game the scripted talking, or was that really in the game?
That was scripted talking.
That was the voice chat of people, you know, playing.
So
well, that's good.
back on topic, we had Epic or Kirby's, you know, or not Kirby, Yoshi's game. Yoshi looked great.
Yoshi. Yeah.
What did they show after?
Was that Captain Toad next?
Yeah, that game looks great.
That looks really good. I'm
happy they made that.
That was like your game. That's your game.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of 3D World, or well, one of my favorite parts was I love those Captain Toad levels, and I actually said several times if they make a game of this, just this, I would buy it. So
yeah, I think you tweeted that.
Maybe Reggie saw me.
There is proof.
This guy, he's on the ball.
It's possible.
And I remember like agreeing with you, but when I did, it was just like, well, that will never happen ever. But like here it is.
I don't think you were that dismissive of the idea. I feel like.
But you really thought like they would turn that into like a full-fledged like retail game?
Well, we don't know that it's going to be a full-fledged.
No, I think it is.
Is it?
There's a box art came out for it today.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that. I thought maybe it was still up in the air as to whether or not it was just maybe a downloadable standalone thing or something.
Even if it was a downloadable standalone thing, it still looks really great.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun, and it looks like they've kind of expanded on the idea a bit from the gameplay they showed. It wasn't just strictly those levels from Mario World, 3D World. It was expanded, and it looked like they had some boss fights and stuff like that. So
it's like picking up turnips and throwing them because you couldn't do anything in the 3D world.
We're actually the list we're looking at of games that were announced. Also, the one I don't see on here. What was the one where you turned into the squid? What was that called?
You called it, Randy. Would you call it Splatter Pants?
Yeah, my name for it is way better than the actual name. I wanted to call it Splatter Pants.
Splatoon. There you go.
That game looks fun. Actually.
Yeah, that was I think that was announced either before Captain Toad or right after Captain Toad. I don't remember, but
I think it was after. It was toward the end.
Okay, yeah, that game looked pretty neat. I mean, watching the gameplay and everything, and the way you kind of like jump into the
cool keypad usage.
Yeah, it just looked like a really neat, like smooth game the way it ran and everything, and just a kind of it looks like it could be a lot of fun for multiplayer. I'm very interested to see how that one comes out, and it's also nice to see Nintendo doing, they constantly catch flack for not having new IPs, so when they put out something that's not only a new IP but essentially a multiplayer shooter. Now, granted, it's like paint or ink or something.
You're shooting paint guns or paint out of water guns. Yeah,
right.
So a lot of people might just have to pretend that like the purple is like purple blood, if they want to fully enjoy the game. I know it's just
Yeah, not everything has to be gore and guts. But when they first showed that, I was like, maybe. And as they kept going on, I was a little bit more and more like, I don't want to say sold on the idea, but the idea grew on me. But it really wasn't until they showed it again in the Treehouse demonstration where they're showing actually people playing it against each other. Like, that looks like it could be pretty tense and pretty good fun, And it's like, it's more than just painting the other team's territory. Like, you also can't stand in the enemy territory paint as well, because like you start to die, and I'm saying die with air quotes around you.
Right.
So it looks like it could be a lot of fun, and it's 4-on-4, and if they have good balanced maps, that could get addictive. I could see that getting addictive.
Yeah. We'll see. I'd like to. It would be nice for them to have a cool multiplayer kind of arena type game like that. That would be pretty fun.
And pretty much family friendly too.
Yeah.
Just
family friendly's good sometimes.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, as long as the other people that are playing on there are also being semi-friendly, family friendly.
The whole event was so family friendly compared to like the day before. It's like you had like these 4 press conferences Sony and Microsoft did present, like, it wasn't all just guns. Like, I will be fair, but when you watch these 4 things back to back, like, your big takeaway is like, man, a lot of things blew up. So like when you get this the next day, it's like, it's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely going to 2 different audiences too. I mean, in defense of Sony and Microsoft, I mean, they're not. The one thing, there was a couple E3s there where they were both kind of pandering to the family-friendly thing as well, and I think this year they just gave up on that, and they were like, you know what, we're not doing Connectimals, we're not doing the friggin' Harry Potter book or any of that shit. Let's just show what we're good at, and they did. So that's another thing. I shouldn't read the comments. I know, I read the comments. Rookie mistake again. But some people said we were really negative about the Microsoft and Sony, and I don't feel like we were. Or that we were overly disappointed about it. But I don't think I was disappointed at all. I was actually pretty impressed with both.
Yeah, it's not a disappointment thing. It's a we're not hyped thing. It's not a that was terrible. It was more of a okay, those games are coming kind of thing. And it's not that edge of your seat kind of thing that we want, from an E3.
Yeah. I said to a buddy of mine earlier, I was talking to him, and he was kind of like asking me, he's like, so did any games actually get announced for this year? And I was just joking. I made a joke and just said, well, this was basically the preview for E3 2015. So
yeah, which is disappointing. And Nintendo's show was the same way, really.
Yeah,
it really was,
across the board. Yeah, all three, and then including Ubisoft and EA's conferences as well. But it is what it is. And so anyway. On with the Nintendo talk. I didn't mean to get us off on a tangent.
No, that's okay. So we did Toad's Secret 3D World hideout place, and then we had
real
Splatter
quick about that
Pants.
too, like the Toad thing. Like I like that. Obviously, like the engine they built for 3D World was like this super expensive thing, and it's like gorgeous and awesome. So it's nice to see them like applying it to a different game, and they probably put this together in like a year or whatever, and it's just cool to see them put that out.
I got to admit, like, part of my appeal for that game is when I saw that, the first thing that came to mind was Final Fantasy Tactics, because of that floating triangular or floating square in the sky, and it was like, oh please, somebody do that,
In the future, you mean?
Yeah,
like,
in the future.
Want to see that, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you never know. Maybe we'll get it. Maybe it's that Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei game.
Yeah.
Could always end up being something like that.
If you're real lucky, Square will make it for iOS. They'll make the Final Fantasy.
I think they might have already done that, actually. I really do. I think
they did.
I think they did. Okay. So. Moving on. Splatter Pants, and then what came up after that?
Then there was the big one. It was the Wii U Zelda.
No, because they did something else. Didn't they do Xenoblade X?
I'm out of order.
I'm good. You know what? Full disclosure, I'm using the NeoGAF thread on the. That's all I got here. I don't have an actual list of what order. I'm using their official topic for the.
Because we will talk about Zelda, and I think we're going to talk about it a lot, and I want to save it for just a little bit because I don't want us to like run out of time. But they also showed off that Xenogears game, and that they hinted at Pokemon, and then they showed. I keep calling it Xenogears, but
they have the two Pokemon games coming out, the two new ones. I forget what the colors are. For the 3DS, there's two new ones. That's what that was, and they just kind of showed that real quickly, and then kept moving. Was it Xenoblade Chronicles Cross? Is that the name?
Or something like that.
X.
I think I thought I read that it was actually said Cross, but maybe I'm wrong.
Really?
In this particular case, but usually I say X as well, but I did. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got bum info there.
That game I'm really excited for. It looks like good, classic JRPG kind of fun. Apparently you can create your own character, customizable from the ground up, male or female, whatever you want them to look like. And the open world gameplay reminded me a lot of like Final Fantasy 12's.
Yeah.
It's that kind of vibe, yeah.
I liked Final Fantasy 12's open world kind of, actiony stuff. It looked good. That's a big win, I think, on Nintendo's side to get that game coming out for their Wii U.
Yeah.
Yeah. The models had like weird faces, but like everything around that looked really nice.
Yeah. And again, that was another game where I was like, oh, that could be interesting based on the trailer, but then seeing it played again on the Treehouse thing, it was like, oh yeah, that's something I want. Yeah,
the trailer I thought didn't really do it too much justice, actually. It was just like, it was your typical E3 trailer, Mm-hmm. And then Bayonetta 2, which you commented last night that should already be out and be $20 by now.
It should.
I thought the cool news with that was that they're throwing in Bayonetta, the first Bayonetta, and like on top of that they're like adding like some Nintendo skins in there. Like she's got like a Samus costume, so I thought that was cool because like I actually had thought about buying the first Bayonetta. Like Steve, didn't you just buy it recently?
Yeah,
like
I got it
recently
for like $11 or something.
Yeah, and when you were buying it, I was like, maybe I should get that. But then I heard the PS3 version kind of sucks, and I kind of don't want to buy it for the Xbox because I don't want to like hook my Xbox up because I think it's going to break at any moment.
Yeah, you want to save it just for like longevity's sake or posterity's sake.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah, I got to be able to play Radiant Silvergun when I want to. So
I'm imagining some scenario in like 30 years when Phil like takes out his Xbox 360 for his grandkids and plugs it in, and it immediately red rings of death.
Right then and there.
I knew it was gonna happen. Yeah. So like, I'm going to assume that this Wii U version will like run really well and assume that it will be maybe a potential definitive version. So like that's cool that they're both on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good idea from them. Okay, Now do we talk about Zelda? I think we're all kind of...
Well, we had Mario Maker, too. That was kind of an interesting little thing they threw in there.
This is going to be really shitty, and everybody's going to be like, what's Brady talking about? But I would love that if that was on PC. Like, a tool that simple to be able to put together Mario levels and then send it over to a buddy online. I would love that.
What I thought was impressive about it was how you could flip between, like, the look of New Super Mario U and Mario Brothers, like, just on the fly.
Yeah, that was really cool. Really cool how they did that. I mean, it looks like a lot of fun. I think that's something that you could just kind of sit there and get lost in. And it looked like I didn't get a, they were showing it kind of quickly. I don't know if they demoed it during the Treehouse or not, but I never got another chance to see it. But the UI for it and the controls looked really intuitive and easy to use. And that was always kind of my problem with like Little Big Planet and stuff like that. Is I always felt like I was kind of fighting with figuring out how to actually make levels and games and stuff. And this just looked like you were just drawing the blocks and then throwing a turtle over here.
Yeah.
And you could drag the pipes up and down to make them.
Right.
They did show it in Treehouse, and in what little time was there, people were creating vicious levels, like doable but vicious levels. So I mean, it was pretty cool to see.
I really hope that they, really do some cool stuff with the Miiverse with that as well.
Yeah,
I feel like that's one really nice feature of the Wii U. Sorry, and I'd like to see some really cool, like giving people feedback and posting levels and stuff like that. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And since it's a 2015 game and it looks like something that could be out like today, I really hope that you could even go deeper and you can like swap in like mechanics from Super Mario Brothers 2 or 3 and like really start to just mix and match like all the games together. Like I think that would be pretty awesome.
That would be wild, yeah.
Or better yet, even mix it like, aside from having maybe a collection of classic games built into it, maybe even create a couple of custom new levels that could almost be Super Mario sized, that they'd be like, okay, here's the Mario Maker levels that we created specifically for you.
Oh, yeah. I could definitely see that in there. Yeah.
That one will be worth the bucks, I think.
Yeah. That should be cool.
Zelda.
You know what? Before we say that we thought it was awesome, that probably didn't need to be there. That was one of those games like I bitched about yesterday where it was just like, don't show up if it's not ready. And I feel like they only showed up with that because they promised they were going to show up with that, but it is clearly not ready to be shown to anyone.
Clearly not ready to be shown, but they were at least willing and ready to say like some important things that's going to get everybody drooling about it. The fact that they're going for a more open world kind of experience than they have had before. I mean, Zelda's always been open world, but the fact that they want to go back to a bigger open world, I think is going to win over a lot of hearts.
Yeah, I mean, it's been... Oh, go ahead, Steve.
No. I was just going to say I think they've learned a lot from seeing how well received A Link Between Worlds was, as opposed to how poorly received Skyward Sword was. Mm-hmm. And I think that might have been a big kind of kick in the ass for them a bit.
And I'm pretty sure in the past I do remember Aonuma like mentioning like stuff like Skyrim, like look what these games are doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it'll be cool.
It looks fantastic. Like apparently everything was done in in-game engine. Yeah. It looks great. I love, Phil, you had brought up to my attention that there's confusion online, and I found a couple of threads where people were saying, "Is Link a girl this time?" Yeah. There's people that are pretty bent out of shape about that. Like, even if he's not a girl, he looks too much like a girl. Which, one, come on, he's an elf, and two, who cares if he's a girl? And in fact, now I kind of want like a Zelda game where Link is a girl. Like that seems like a badass concept.
And then Aonuma said in an interview, and it was tweeted, that he never said it was Link. So he is denying that it's Link. And then I looked at it again, and I'm like, well, he doesn't have a sword. Yeah, and he does look pretty girly.
Yeah. He's got that crazy bow and arrow.
Yeah, which is like, that's another cool thing, and then that thing was like shooting lasers at them, which like kind of almost gives it like a like futuristic type vibe to it. You know what I mean? Like there's like lasers in it, and I mean, I don't know, like there was like technology type stuff.
Yeah, well, you've always kind of got that in a little bit in the Zeldas. Like you have the eyes that turn and they shoot the lasers. Right. So I mean, there's a little bit of an element of that always. That's one thing I always like about Zelda games, is that they're not anywhere near Tolkien fantasy, which is kind of like that Western standard kind of elves and orcs and dwarves, and and I love that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on that. But then it's also not kind of the Japanese anime kind of level of fantasy either. It's somewhere in between, and it's just its own thing, and it just always kind of works. So yeah, I always love that about those games, and this what they showed today, like you just said, really kind of drives that home that now we're going to see a really beautiful HD version of that. And yeah, it was cool.
Good art style. I don't think anybody's going to be angry about it. The people
people are.
There's always going to be. You can never satisfy everybody, but I think it's a good, safe art style to kind of go with. Colorful yet still kind of mature looking. It's that nice balance between Twilight Princess and Wind Waker.
Yeah.
And so what Phil was saying before about the lasers, I think, there's always been the lasers there with like the eyes on top of the vases or whatever, but this is a little bit more Star Wars-y than we've kind of seen before.
she pulls out the arrow, and then like the arrow tip kind of transforms out, and it glows and makes like a.
You just committed to her being a she, so.
Did I say she?
You did say she, so I guess we're all in agreement this might be a she.
Oh, no! She. I think it's she. I guess I'm team she, Link. I don't know.
Linka. Yeah, I don't know.
But that was a good reveal. I didn't think that they could show off anything for a Zelda game that would get me really excited, but all day since that announcement I've been like Zelda in the back of my head.
It's time to buy after we get off here. It's time to go on Amazon and click buy it now on Link Between Worlds and have it shipped to you.
I will wait until they do a bundle with probably the new Zelda with whenever it comes out. I'll probably pick up a bundle pack when it comes out. Which again, that's probably not going to be until 2015.
Worlds. I don't mean buy a whole Wii U. I'm just saying just to get pumped.
Oh, just buy Wings.
As a primer. Yeah, just to get excited.
I got ya.
Just to feed it, like a little appetizer.
Yeah. I think before we actually see this new Zelda game, I think we're probably going to see another Wii U price drop. I'm thinking we might.
Yeah, I think that's likely. I'm guessing we'll be seeing gameplay footage of this at next year's E3, and we might maybe see. I mean, they said 2015, but
I'm guessing 2016.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that this one might do it might pull a Twilight Princess
and bridge between two generations of consoles.
Yeah, I could see this being held off and just kind of like launch game for next. I don't know. I'm just throwing wild theories out there. No,
I'm with you. I'm in my mind. I'm constantly torn. And actually, this is good to mention the fact that this is what made me think this. I'll set it up first. Is the fact that first of all, Time magazine totally screwed up.
Yeah, this morning
and blew Miyamoto's kind of reveal that he was going to show that they had a Star Fox game in the works for the Wii U, and that he had two other kind of experimental projects that he had been working on that kind of showcased his kind of vision for like cool things you could do with the gamepad in actual games. So what made me think about that, what that got me thinking was that I almost wonder if at this point Nintendo's like, look, we have this thing out there and it's selling, and if we can get some more games, maybe we'll sell enough where we can just kind of like hunker down for a few more years with this machine. And they're putting out good looking stuff on it. No one's looking at these games and being like, oh, they'd look a lot better if they were 1080p 60 frames per second,
right.
Or so I feel like they have a little bit of wiggle room where, like, rather than I almost think it would be a bad thing for them a year from now to unveil the Wii U successor. I feel like they just kind of have to hunker down, get some really good software out there, and drop the price, like you said, Randy, and really kind of give it some value. And
At that point, it's going to do exactly like what the Wii was. It's going to be the every gamer's second console that they own. You know, like people who own a PlayStation 4 are not going to be like, you know, I really need to buy an Xbox One to play that one exclusive game. You know, and same thing with, you know, vice versa. People who own an Xbox One are going to be like, you know, I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 4 just to play 2 or 3 extra games. They're going to look at the Wii U's library and they're going to be like, shoot, there's like 10 games right there that I can't play anywhere else. And they're reviewing really well, and it's been a long time since I've done a good JRPG, or it's been a long time since I've actually played a Zelda game, and now's the time that I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and this thing is down to $199 or whatever, you know, whatever that price point that they are eventually going to hit. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that nobody has any illusions anymore, and I don't think Nintendo does either, quite frankly, based on the thing that Reggie said at one point. He was talking about, you know, you have these Nintendo experiences on a Nintendo console, on Nintendo hardware, and no matter what in your life, there's always this constant that like Nintendo games mean a really good experience. It's a quality game, and playing it on Nintendo hardware is the way to go. And to me, that was like him. They were just committing even further and saying, look, you know, don't expect to be playing Mario on your iPad anytime soon, regardless of what people on This Week in Tech say, you know, every other day. You know, we're not caving. This is our vision. This is what we're staying with, and this is how we do it.
You know, and it's funny because, like, if anything, too, like, it's interesting, like how you said, you know, after this show, you really think they're going to stick with Wii U, and after this show, I kind of feel that way too. Like, I almost, even though I hate seeing all those 2015s, like in this case, I was almost happy to see them, because I really was like, what is actually going to come out for this thing after this year? Like, what is actually after Smash Brothers? You know what I mean? Like, so it is nice to see like that there is like a pretty packed 2015, like just from what we saw today. Right.
Yeah, across the board, 2015 is going to be like a big year.
Oh yeah, with everything.
Everything. I will say this: I don't like, if somebody were to ask me like my honest opinion, do I think Zelda's going to come out in 2015 or 2016? Logically, I'm going to say 2016, just because of production timelines. But part of me thinks that Nintendo might be looking at their sales numbers and being like, this needed to come out yesterday. And they might be just cracking the whip and throwing money and people and resources on top of Zelda to like get it done and get it out the door.
You know what though? I don't think they'll do that. They would have done it. They would have done it with Twilight Princess. You know.
I don't.
But they delayed.
Maybe because GameCube was kind of in rough shape too.
Yeah,
wasn't
I mean, Twilight Princess was supposed to come out the year before the Wii version, because that was the year, Steve. That was the year we went to E3, and like we played Twilight Princess on GameCube.
Right.
And then like a few months before, like right after that, they're like, this is being delayed. This is not coming out. So like they and that destroyed their Christmas basically for GameCube. You know, like they had nothing. So they are willing to like make that sacrifice if they have to.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see either way. But you know, as far as time goes, we should probably wrap it up. Maybe are there any more big shows tomorrow?
Not especially. No.
There's supposed to be a big 3DS game reveal tomorrow.
Okay, but there's no like big pressers tomorrow. We're all done with pretty much. All right, so take away. You know, I guess top 3 or 4 games you guys were excited to see for this year.
The Devil's Third.
Yeah. Gotta mention The Devil's Third. Randy, did you watch the trailer before this?
No, I didn't.
All right, so do you know what The Devil's Third is?
No.
All right, here's the backstory of Devil's Third. I'm going to say his name wrong. Tomonobu Itagaki, the Ninja Gaiden dude that was at Tecmo. So I don't know how many years ago it was, but like say 4 or 5 years ago, he quits Tecmo. He makes a studio, Valhalla. They make this game, Devil's Third, it's supposed to be Xbox, PS3. This game has been missing in action for years. This is like, you can find trailers for this game probably from like 2008 or something. So
it's a regular Duke Nukem at this point.
It is. And after the Nintendo conference, this was not IGN teased, we got a Wii U exclusive after the digital event, after the conference. turns out to be Devil's Third. Nintendo has salvaged Devil's Third. They're publishing in this game that has been like missing it. It is the biggest piece of shit, but it is hilarious.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't write it off as a piece of shit. I mean, it looks like it's got some pretty funny game mechanics. I mean, it looks like a weird, crazy. I don't even know what the hell. It's like a mix between like a Suda game and like Metal Gear Rising and like just like a platinum game on acid. It's just like it's got this big like tattooed marine action hero guy, and then like they'll show him like slicing ninjas in half with a sword, and then it cuts to him playing the drums, and it's just
please watch.
I'll try to have a trailer up in the links.
It's
everyone watch.
One of the most insane trailers for a game I've ever seen. It looks ridiculous, and I will absolutely play it. Yeah,
fans are gonna love it.
I watched it the first time, and my only takeaway was the drumming. I was like, oh god, these drumming cuts are pretty good. Like this is good. And then like I talked to Steve, I watched it again, and then I was like laughing at more of it. And then I watched it a third time, and now I'm into the Devil's Third. I'm in there.
Pre-ordered.
All right.
It just kept getting funnier. I don't know, man. It was good.
Actually, in all seriousness, we didn't get to talk about it, but that is one of the games I'm actually now really excited to see.
Excited?
Okay, all right. We'll put it in.
I will buy that game and I will play it.
So let's do it that way. Let's do most excited about and then one big disappointment for you.
Is that on the list?
That's one excited for you. Give us two more excited.
Captain Toad, obviously really excited for that. And then obviously Zelda, but Zelda's like a unicorn. Like it's a fictional thing. Like it's like I'm not going to see it for, like we said, at least a year to 2 years. So near future, Captain Toad, and I guess I would say Yoshi. Yeah. Looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited for that.
I'm talking about like the whole event now, not just Nintendo, but all events.
Oh, this is all E3.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Much, like we said, we're done with all the all the pressers.
I thought we were just doing Nintendo.
I fooled you. I pulled it. I buttoned.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all screwed up. I'm looking at this.
Do you want to call in
Phil.
pass?
Phil, you take it.
Steve's gonna call his lifeline.
I mean, my only off the top of my head, like the things that I really want, I really would like to try. I don't know if I necessarily want to buy it, but the that space one. What was the space one at Sony?
Oh yeah, No Man's Sky.
I like that. Captain Toad. No, like Captain Toad. I know I'm buying Captain Toad. Looks awesome. And then I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of decent stuff, but like I don't know. Metal Gear 5 looks pretty sweet.
That's fair, man. That's fair. You were saying you felt a little disappointed that you actually saw the trailer ahead of time and didn't save it for E3, that you watched the leaked version. Was there a disappointing moment for you that you were like, oh, come on, man, or something that you were expecting to see that they omitted? Or I guess I can't omit something that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that like when I saw it, like maybe like I knew it was coming, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. All right, how about it was sad. All right, two moments. One, that Microsoft game where they're Little Big Planet, and then at the end they show Conker, and Conker's just like, "Here I am. Now, just please make a game with me in it." Please.
Yeah. And he's like, the closest I'm gonna get.
He's begging you.
These motherfuckers won't make a game out of me. Maybe you will.
Yeah. At the same time, between Killer Instinct going to another company, I know you want to end here. I'm sorry. Killer Instinct going to somebody outside Rare, then putting Conker into a game Rare is not making. It looks like Microsoft finally realized, hey, wait a minute, we got all this Rare shit that we're not doing anything with, and since Rare is not even made up of the same people anymore, like farm that out, man. Get that stuff going. Yeah. Make Conker, make Battletoads, make Banjo-Kazooie, and all that stuff.
Make Perfect Dark.
Yeah, make all of it. I mean, Rare has so much stuff. They have so many goods to offer.
Perfect Dark would be a really cool, like, just IP to build off of, regardless. Like, it was.
I'm shocked.
It's set in like a Deus Ex kind of universe. I mean, you could do anything with it.
I mean, it was I feel like that was a big hit for 360. I'm surprised that they never went further with that. But I mean, whatever. And then another disappointment, another like kind of blue balls moment is the new president of Sony, the new CEO, wherever he is, I forget his name, the guy that replaced Jack. who I actually like. I thought he was pretty cool, and he gave a bit of a history of how he, like, his background is in localizing like American games for the Japanese.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, like, so obviously this guy has been with the PlayStation brand forever and he knows his shit. So like that was cool. I like that. And then he like mentions like Vib Ribbon, which is this PS1 game where it was like a rhythm game where you would just put in like a music CD and it would like basically like audio surf. But for PlayStation 1 that long ago, you know. This game never came to America. People really like it, really want it, and he mentions it, and they show it on the screen behind them, and it's like, oh my god, they're gonna do something with this, and then they cut the Mortal Kombat, the Mortal Kombat 10. It was like, Jesus Christ, like how could you do that?
something semi-new and original and uplifting, and then you bust out Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. This is like, great.
Steve, do you want to redo your answers?
Yeah, well, so, okay, for a disappointing thing that I felt with Sony, aside from the stuff that we mentioned about the TV business and the Sony pictures and all that crap, there was really, aside from the YouTube thing, there was really no mention to any new feature stuff for the PS4, and there's been a lot of omissions, and they had recently had a poll where they were kind of asking questions about, like, kind of like a Reddit style thing where you could like vote up the issues that you thought were more important, and they really didn't mention anything about any of that stuff, and I thought that was kind of weird. I thought maybe they might spend a little time on the system itself when they were started on the YouTube thing, that they were adding that in. I was hoping that they were going to maybe address a few things and talk about some upcoming firmware updates or something.
Yeah.
But they've been pretty light with all that stuff since the game's launched, and I have to give credit to Microsoft in that. It seems like they're really cranking out some patches lately and putting in some new stuff. So that was kind of disappointing. I'm hoping that Sony addresses some of this stuff quickly, and I would have liked to have seen it a little bit at the show. But
cool.
Well.
Any big games that you wanted to like list as your top outside of the Nintendo pressers?
Yeah, definitely Metal Gear 5. I mean, that's the one I'm the most excited for. I love that series. I loved Ground Zeroes, and like I said last night, I think that, I'm just really excited to play a Metal Gear game, a real Metal Gear game in that engine.
Cool.
And I'm not sure what else. I can't really remember much else.
Okay.
There was so much.
It's been a wild 24 hours or whatever.
Yeah, right? Or
I would like to
48 or something.
see. I would like to see more of despite the fact that I dismissed it yesterday, that new Criterion game with all the like the ATVs and all that. Because I loved Burnout. I think Burnout is probably like maybe like top 5 last gen for me personally. So I would like to see what they're doing this time.
We'll keep an eye out for that in 2017.
Yeah, basically.
For me, Witcher 3 still best looking thing I think out there, and The Witcher 1. The Witcher 1 was a great RPG. It did a lot of stuff that other RPGs didn't do at the time. Witcher 2, I think what the great part about Witcher 2 was, it was a sequel to a game, and it's nothing like the game that it's the sequel to. It was like this brand new game that they kind of want to still build on to like your choices within the game and still having this awesome lore, and Witcher 3 looks like it's going to be doing the same thing, building off of the awesome lore, giving you a completely new game experience entirely, but still having that number 3 on there. It just looks fantastic. And the more they show me of that game, the more excited I get about it. And right now, I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I got to stop looking at stuff for this game because I don't want to get too excited for this, because then I'm going to start building expectations for the game that they're never going to be able to live up to.
Right.
Zelda, I'm definitely going to, tip my hat to that. Like that game made my day, like seeing that they were going to launch that, or that it's definitely in the works, that they're acknowledging that fans want bigger open world kind of experiences, and I think it's a great art style. I want to see more of Zelda. I hope that we don't have to wait too long to hear more about new Zelda.
Well, that's the good thing about modern Nintendo, is they put out the directs every few months or so. So I would expect that we'll be getting more updates about that between now and next E3.
Yeah. And then as a third, I was impressed by what Ubisoft was showing off with Rainbow Six. I'll remain hopeful for it. It looks really cool. It could be fantastic, but that game could fall into the trap of not having enough maps, which would be a massive problem for a game like that, or two, they would need to have like an anti-cheat or an anti-hack, countermeasure, like a good one in place right off the bat, because that's gonna be the kind of game where like hackers and cheaters are gonna love to be able to like, wall hack and just see through walls and just make the experience crap after the first week of gameplay.
I should have mentioned Rainbow Six because that was one that I was really excited for, and I don't want to get off on too big of a thing because I know we want to wrap it up. And this is a larger discussion. But
right.
one thing I'd really love to see with Rainbow Six, just real quickly, is I'd love them to just come out with that game and unapologetically just have no leveling, no perks, just don't Call of Duty-ize it. And that's what they did with Ghost Recon, and that was kind of like a big bummer for me because when that game came out, I was really hopeful, and it was like they just took all that same shit and put it in Ghost Recon. And I hope they don't do that with Rainbow Six. I hope that, just make the replayability be because it's so much fun and it's so great to have those kind of like sandboxy experiences while you're playing with your friends cooperatively or competitively, like Counter-Strike. Like Counter-Strike doesn't need leveling. It's just fun to play over and over and over again. It's the same match. It's Dust 2 5,000 times, because it's just you love it that much. That's what I want to see from a Rainbow Six game.
Yeah, and the old Rainbow Six games, again, don't want to go off too far on this. The beauty of them was like the compatibility of the maps themselves. Like players could like if you're playing Raven Shield, you could set the 20 enemies and put them wherever you wanted to, and then have your friends play with you, and nobody knows where those 20 enemies are, and you've got to tactically like go through the entire environment and like try to take everybody out. Yeah, so like that's the kind of thing I want to see with this. Like the competitive scene, great, but the cooperative scene is what I want to see more with this. As far as biggest disappointments, Sony missed a grand opportunity to prove to everybody that The Last Guardian is in fact not canceled. Like that was a big thing before the show, was IGN reported that the game was canceled, and then Sony was like, what are you, crazy?
Don't be disappointed at that. Don't.
Speaking of unicorns.
Right, well, here's the thing, like, by them not showing it and them not doing anything with it, they've kind of effectively showed that IGN is pretty much right. The game's dead. And if it's not dead, at this point we are looking at a Duke Nukem situation here.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you see it next year, guess what? It's not the same Last Guardian you saw all those years. You know what I mean? Like, I wrote this on Facebook to somebody, and I'm going to repeat it here. I'm sorry. I know we keep saying we want to wrap up. Last Guardian and even Final Fantasy 15 were shown before the PlayStation 3 came out. Like, these games were announced before PS3 was out, which was in 2006. We are now in 2014. In that time, and these people are just like, they're clamoring for it. I have gotten married. I bought a house. I had a dog. I got a dog. I had 2 children. I've worked 3 different jobs. My whole life has happened.
Yeah. How many cars did you go through since then? You might have actually gone through a couple of cars, too.
Actually, only 2.
Only 2 cars? Okay.
My whole life has happened. 6 years, people have gone through all of high school and are halfway through their college career now.
Yeah.
Stop talking about these games. Don't talk about Last Guardian anymore until someone actually shows it. Like, you're wasting your time.
Not until they show it, until it's on, like, you walk into Best Buy and you, like, hold it in your hands.
Right, exactly.
We're wasting time and energy thinking about and writing about these games. Don't do it anymore.
Right, but okay, maybe that should add to my complaint about it. Maybe Sony should have just come forward and been like, yeah, it's not happening. And then maybe secretly developing it on the side and be like, you know what, we decided to dust it off and finish it after all.
You know what, they never will, because... And this is maybe a bad example, but it just got me thinking. Like, one of those games that Miyamoto showed today, one of those little techie type demos, I think it was the one with the cameras.
With the robot camera thing?
Project Guard or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He said they've been kicking that idea around since the N64. So, like, this idea has just been floating around for like 20 years, apparently. Yeah. So Sony's going to do the same thing with Last Guardian. So, like, 10 years from now, when Last Guardian finally shows up, they're like, here it is. We've been working on it since PS3. So they're never going to say it's canceled. They will never say it, because it's something that they own, and it's something that they're, you know what I mean? Like, they're just not going to admit that they don't have this game. They can't.
Yeah, and the other thing about Last Guardian is, like, almost all the key people that were working on it are gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's
they
what
left
I'm.
so long ago that the game is going to be a completely different game.
Yeah,
right now.
it's totally different game. So if this thing shows up, it is not going to be what you saw your lifetime ago.
Since they announced that game, Ubisoft has released like 9 Assassin's Creeds.
It's true. It's true.
Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations,
And
4,
think about how much fun you had playing those
3.
games.
Okay, we're up to 6.
What
And
about
now
the-
they're on Unity, so 7. They won't have released.
What about the handheld one?
Yeah, the PS Vita one.
There was a PS Vita. I think there were 2 Vita ones.
There was
Two
a
Vita ones, and then there was a DS one as well.
There was a PSP one.
PSP.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so a PSP and a PS Vita and a Nintendo DS one. So
Yes.
10 Assassin's Creed games have come out.
Probably iOS too. There are probably like 30 of those.
So think about that. Ubisoft has like milked that cash cow, and they're still like trying to figure out what the catbird dog is going to look like in the last Guardian.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd be a cat bird dog or a bird dog cat? Let's have a year-long meeting about it.
All right, I took us on too long, guys. I'm glad you hopped on tonight. This was fun. Everybody else, all the links and everything for all the videos that we should have been talking about should be below the description of this. If not, sorry. Thanks, guys. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Click on Phil's head. I'm pointing in the right direction now. Click on Phil's head to go to his channel, shmoozle.com. Phil does a ton of awesome animation. If you haven't seen them already, he did the incredibly famous Star Wars anime. Also the which ones did you release?
I only have 2. Star Wars and Harry Potter.
Okay,
separate.
you did. I'm starting to forget which ones were released and which ones are not. I was going to say Harry Potter, and I didn't.
You almost announced my next one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't want to say something else you were working on. So
I'm working
the
on
Harry Potter
Ghostbusters.
and the Star Wars animes, which are awesome. Go check those out.
Thank you. They're all Nacho Punch though. They're not on my channel. If you click my head,
But you still did them.
I did do that. Well, I guess if you go to my channel, I do have a playlist. They're in there.
There you go.
Well, yeah, so you
There
can
you
see
go.
it that way.
And then if you click on Steve's head or my head, nothing happens.
Just
You
click
just go
it.
right back to Elder Geek.
You're just wasting clicks on your
Click.
mouse.
You know what? If you click Steve's head, you go to the Devil's Third trailer.
Oh, that's happening now.
Please, yes,
That is
please do
happening
that.
now. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right. Good night.